Allow me to introduce to you our resource speaker. We will go straight to the introduction of our resource speaker to make use of our time. So I am honored and pleased to introduce our first plenary speaker, Dr. Rebecca Rosario Bercasio. Dr. Bercasio is a full Professor 6 in Bicol University. She is the current director of the Bicol University Center for Teaching Excellence, whose establishment she proposed in 2015. She formerly served as the Dean of Bicol University College of Education in 2017 to 2019, which was recognized as Center of Excellence for Teacher Education and the ACUP Level 3 accreditation during her term. With more than 25 years of service at Bicol University, Dr. Bercasio has earned university research awards and has served in various technical working committees related to instruction and research. She has also proposed various policies and innovations in the university, such as offering of diploma programs in education, journal editorial policies, standard operating procedures in research ethics, faculty mentoring, faculty research affiliation, faculty-student collaboration, university enhanced syllabus format, university teaching induction program, among others. She has also been involved in community service of training teachers in conducting research and on pedagogy. She is a sought-after resource person, trainer, and research evaluator in the university and other institutions, and a convener or organizer of different conferences, trainings, and other professional development activities for teachers and researchers. Dr. Bercasio's research experience and interests deal on curriculum development and evaluation, global citizenship education, pedagogy and learning, educational policies, and educational innovations. Currently, she is working on research undertaking on evaluation of flexible learning, flexible pedagogy, and global citizenship education. Dr. Bercasio handles graduate courses in reading education and PhD educational foundations and professional education courses in the teacher education program. Dr. Bercasio holds a doctorate degree in educational foundations, a master's degree in education in educational management, and bachelor in secondary education major in English, magna cum laude, and was a national top-notcher in professional board examination for teachers, 7th placer in 1994. At 47, Dr. Bercasio has an extensive academic experience as educator, but she has remained a simple person, a woman committed to her family and to public service. Alongside handling the demanding profession of an educator, she has been a dutiful mother to 4 children and a wife, a highly esteemed educator, an empowered woman, an exemplar. To talk about what it means to be a woman and an educator, friends, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Dr. Rebecca Rosario Bercasio.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you po. We can hear
Yes,
you po,
yes,
Dr. Bercasio.
May I be allowed to share my
Yes,
screen?
ma'am.
Thank you very much, Camarines Norte State College, for the invitation. It has been a while that I talked about a topic related to gender and development. So when I looked at the topic given to me, I thought, just like the previous things I did, I'm going to consult Google. But today, I decided I'm going to do it differently. I decided I'm going to give a real talk from real women working in the academia. So I decided to do a mini research so that I can share with you the experiences and the meanings attached to being a woman and educator by real women educators, both from the local context and from outside the country. So please do not expect that I'm going to flood your screen with references taken from Google. Rather, I'm going to flood your screen with insights and experiences from real women doing real talk about what it means to be a woman and educator. Violence and discrimination against women and girls, I should say, is also a pandemic, similar to COVID-19. Why do I say it's a pandemic? Because across countries, across cultures, there is still violence and discrimination against women and girls. So in rich or in poor countries, in workplaces, big or small, in the academia, even at home, even in public spaces, in various contexts, we hear of cases of violence and discrimination against women and children. Unfortunately, it is a reality that gender gaps still exist. Perhaps you have not yet been a victim, and so that is great to know, but perhaps you have observed gender gaps exist in your own context, in your own workspaces, in your own community, in our society, and in our country. Unfortunately, there's still this man default thinking. Just like many apps, there is something that is already at default. For example, if you use the Microsoft Word, for the font, I think it's Calibre that is at default. In this world, man default thinking continues to persist. I must say, this world, this earth is still called by many as the man's world. I haven't heard anyone in ordinary conversations or in professional or academic discussions say a woman's world. They always have this man default thinking. It's a man's world rather than it's a human's world. The discrimination comes in different forms and in different degrees, in policies, in practices, in words, severe or mild. They all exist. You have heard about them. I have heard about them. And almost every day we hear about them. And so there's still much work to be done. And this activity, the month-long series of activities initiated by this institution, is really worthwhile. So much work remains. However, we would like to recognize that much efforts and initiatives have been undertaken also. Governments, institutions, civil society, professional groups, the academia, even private individuals, they all have made significant efforts to reduce, if not eliminate, gender injustice. We are all doing our share, no matter how small, in order to help mainstream gender in our policies, in our practices, in our programs and activities. We are doing this to attain gender justice. And today, I will have my little share of promoting gender awareness, of helping institutions become gender responsive, hopefully attaining gender justice. So how did I structure my presentation? Like what I said earlier, I was tempted to simply consult Google. But if I do that, I may sound technical. And the nature of the topic given to me should not be technical. It should emanate from the grassroots. So I decided I'm going to do something new. In fact, this is the first time that I am using this methodology. I did a small research and I used cooperative inquiry as my main methodology. Cooperative inquiry is a systematic process of action and reflection among co-inquirers. The women educators who gave permission to me to involve them in this small research undertaking are not simply respondents or key informants. They are called co-inquirers. This method gives primacy to practice as a source of knowing. And so the respondents or the key informants or the participants are all currently working in the academe, and they are real women. How did I do it? Specifically, I used epistolary interview via email. So I sent them questions and they responded to me either through the email or through other platform. I also used conversations via social media. I can have follow-up questions and they can respond either real-time or asynchronously. And I did my data gathering for 10 days and it ended just yesterday, just in time for my talk today. How many participants did I have? A total of 23 participants out of the 40 women educators that I sent emails or that I reached out to, composed of 6 teachers from elementary, 6 teachers from high school, 4 teachers teaching college, and 7 women educators handling courses in the college level and in the graduate level. The age range, the youngest is 33 years old and the oldest is 63. The disciplines that they have, from varied disciplines: sciences, mathematics, teacher education, languages, humanities, and social science. Of the 23, 17 are from government schools and 6 from private schools. Now, after sharing with you how I did it, practically, you will not be expecting from me figures, statistics, facts from the internet. They are probably most appropriate in the topics that you will expect later today or tomorrow. So what are my salient findings so that we will be able to explicate the answer to the question, what does it mean to be a woman, an educator in the 21st century? The results I read at least 3 times. And I was able to find the commonalities. The results can be clustered into definitions, descriptions, and roles. And I will be discussing this one at a time. And I'll be quoting from the exact words of the co-inquirers and participants in the cooperative inquiry. Let's start with the definitions. How do my co-inquirers define being a woman, an educator in the 21st century? Let's take a look at some of their responses. One response is, being a woman means sharing a special connection that extends beyond race, age, sexuality, political opinions, and physicality. Another response said that it is both a challenge and an honor. It is a challenge because this is a patriarchal society, as she explained. It is an honor because being a woman is being more understanding in a man's world. That's why she said it is an honor. Another response, to be a woman and educator in the modern times is to be a balanced person, capable of loving and understanding the self and others, and fulfilling the noble duty of educating not just the mind, but also the heart of the learners. So a woman educates her learners' minds and hearts, not just the mind. Another participant said that it means to be a mirror of strength. So a woman is considered to be a source of strength, especially in these challenging times when everybody, regardless of gender, is experiencing pandemic fatigue. A woman, according to her, is a source of strength. Let's take a look at another response of one of the co-inquirers. To be a woman and educator in the modern times is to be someone who is resilient, an innovator, and an influencer. So a woman, since her physical aspect is made by nature in such a unique way that she can actually tolerate the pain of childbirth, I think it is in the nature of a woman that she can handle any kind of pain or challenge. That is being resilient. She does not give up easily amidst challenges. And she would like to go out of the box and innovate the status quo in order to improve, either at home or in the workplace or in school. And by being such, she becomes an influencer in her own ways, in her humble ways, as she performs her different roles. Another one says that being a woman is being an epitome of courage, of self-sacrifice, and love. And I think no one can be such. In the roles that I will present to you, we will understand this better, because a mother is capable of such, even though she too is bleeding She is always willing to give. She's always willing to nurture. She's always willing to love, even if at times it means putting herself last. That's the definition provided by another participant. Let's have another one. Being a woman, an educator, is being whatever she chooses to be. She is independent-minded. She exercises her freedom. She asserts her right. She can be what she chooses to be. And it is something that is beyond being female by birth or having the roles expected of her. She can be whatever that she chooses to be. That's according to another co-inquirer. Another one responded and looked at the contribution of women to nation building and to economic progress. According to her, the women today help make the economy progressive. They represent an important sector that will propel our economy towards progress. Can you imagine our economy and the economy of the world without women? What if for one day all women workers will take a leave of absence all at the same time? It's a little bit hard to do that experiment, but I guess, and I think I will be right, economy for one day will be paralyzed if all the women will take a rest all at the same time. What do you think, guys? What do you think, male friends? No offense to people of other gender. We do love you, we do respect you, but this is hypothetical. And that is the significant sector represented by the women and the girls. Do we still have some ideas? Yes. Another one says, a woman today is a source of hope and encouragement in various extents. Some people may be experiencing, as I said, anxiety, hopelessness, if not pandemic fatigue. The women in your life may be a source of hope and encouragement. Can be a mother, a sibling, a daughter, a teacher, a mentor, a co-worker, a friend. Name them. The woman, according to her, can be a good source of hope and encouragement. Another one says, a modern day woman is a multitasker, juggling between career and family. I remember exactly the person who said this. She is a young woman in her 30s. She has 3 kids. She's the only breadwinner in the family. The father of her children is unable to work because of disability, specifically blindness. So she is actually experiencing this, being a multitasker, waking up early, going to work, doing the chores before going to work, and helping the learners do their modules after the work, having overtime to have some part-time work to earn a little bit more to support the needs of the family, and on the side doing some micro entrepreneur, a small business, still to serve as another source of income. Isn't that amazing that a woman can be a multitasker? And what is more amazing is when you meet her in person. She does not complain about it. Rather, she chooses to do what she must do with a positive attitude. And that is not a surprise to me when she defined being a woman and educator as being a multitasker. Let's see if I have another one. Being a woman, well, I cannot see it in my screen, is a wow man. Is that right? It's being a wow man. Some said that to be a woman in the 21st century is to strive to be a man's equal. Do you agree with that? Well, Marilyn Monroe does not agree. According to her, if we women strive to be man's equal, then that is a sign of lack of courage. We don't want to be like them. We don't want to be equal to them. What we want is equitable opportunity and fair treatment. We allow men to be who they are. We want to be allowed to be who we are in our uniqueness as women. So equitable opportunities and fair treatment to women from all contexts, from different cultures, from different faiths, from different occupations. We want and we assert equitable opportunity. So those are some of the definitions, actual words of actual women in the academe. They are real talk from real women providing us insights of what it is to be a woman, an educator in the 21st century. Further perusal of the data gave me another set of information worthy to be shared with you. And these are the descriptions that they have provided. The common descriptions include the following. A woman thinks critically and acts strategically. Although traditionally described as highly emotional, at times hysterical, most of the time hormonal, and labeled as the weaker sex. It's not true. When they are silent, it doesn't mean they are weak. It is actually their strength. It is actually an indication that they are thinking. They are highly critical human beings and they act strategically. Take note of single women. Take note of the breadwinner in the family. So even without assistance from their better half, they are able to sustain the needs of the family, send children to school, survive, and not only survive, but live decently and meaningfully because they are critical thinkers and they act strategically. Another very good idea shared by a co-inquirer is a woman embraces challenge positively. These women in the 21st century embraces growth mindset. They consider challenges as part of life. Failure is not the end of life. It is only a reminder of what to improve. That is exactly the growth mindset. And that is exactly what we call as the power of yet. So they embrace the challenges. They adhere to the growth mindset. And they believe that if at present they have not yet attained their goal, that they have problems at the moment, time will come that if they act now, do it properly, then they will be able to overcome the challenges, whether these challenges are personal or professional. So they maintain positive thinking. Another one shared by a co-inquirer is also very interesting. She says, being a woman and educator in the 21st century means being assertive, yet understanding and even forgiving. Assertive in the sense that you know your rights, you know where you stand, and if you stand on a solid ground, you really assert your point. Yet, you are understanding. You are willing to forgive. You embraces an attitude of openness or candor. So you are assertive, yet understanding and forgiving. That's the explanation provided to me by one of the participants. Let's take a look at some other descriptions. Another one said, being a woman and educator, especially during this pandemic, is being empowered yet gentle. Empowered in the sense that although there is a big challenge in the implementation of flexible learning, the women educators are doing their best in order to address the changes and the challenges. Yet, in most instances, they are gentle. They are gentle to their colleagues. And most importantly, they are gentle to their learners or client. This is the explanation provided to me by a woman educator in her 40s, teaching in the college level and in the graduate level. Let's take a look at another idea. Another co-inquirer said, a woman is passionate in fulfilling her roles, and in doing her craft. She has passion in being a mother, a daughter, a sibling, a friend, an advocate, and also as an educator. And being an educator with various roles, such as a researcher, a leader, a head of office, an instructor, a mentor. She said, in all of these roles and in doing her craft, this woman of the 21st century is passionate. Another young woman in her 30s, still single, said that a woman is purpose-driven and is internally motivated, referring to the women of the 21st century. She explained that these women have clear goals. They know their purpose, and so they tend to live meaningfully. Their motivation does not only mean being promoted, being popular, or earning more profit, or earning a bigger amount of money. According to her, the motivation is intrinsic, and part of that motivation is to become a good influencer so that others may become better, especially the learners under her care. So she said that a woman, an educator of the 21st century, can be described as purpose-driven and internally motivated. Now, let's take a look at some other responses. Another woman said that a woman is inspiring. She is a source of inspiration. She does not only inspire the people within the family or within the clan or in the school or in the department, or in the community, collectively, friends, the women of the 21st century is capable of inspiring a generation of leaders, a generation of change agents. She is capable of inspiring the world, in other words. So she said, a woman in the 21st century is inspiring. Let's take a look at the response of another co-inquirer. Oh, I think I have discussed that already, being passionate in fulfilling her role and craft. This one is one of the best responses that I got. Being a woman and educator in the 21st century is being enough. Being enough. It means people generally say, you are not beautiful enough. You are not competent enough. You are not smart enough. That's enough. We have to put a stop to that because that's more than enough. Because my being a woman, your being a woman, with all your flaws and imperfection, is already enough. After all, who doesn't have any flaws or imperfections? So given the flaws, the limitations, the imperfection, just by being a woman is enough. You are valued as a woman. So being a woman and educator in the 21st century, at home, in your school, in your community, is being enough. Quite interesting, right? So those are the descriptions provided by the co-inquirers. And if you would notice, these responses emanate from their actual experiences. Of the 23 co-inquirers, only 3 of them are single. So most of them are married. So they are speaking of their experiences as mothers. And all of them are speaking of their experiences as siblings, because all of them have siblings, as daughters, and as educators, as friends, as supporters of good causes in the community. Those are the descriptions that they have provided so that we will be able to explicate and better understand what it means to be a woman and educator. Now, for the third set of information that I got from the raw data, I was provided with the different roles of women. And the conclusion is very clear. All of these 23 women have multiple roles, both at home and in the academy. That is a common response by all of the co-inquirers. The first role of a woman mentioned is being a mother. And for all the mothers listening to me, being a mother is not only giving birth physically to a son or a daughter. It does not only literally mean being a female parent. Sometimes you may not have a child, but in emotions, in principle, in affiliation, you are acting like a mother. Okay? Another role is being a partner. Even if you are a mother, you are not neglecting your another role, which is being a wife or a partner. So we don't only find time to be with our partner and nurture the relationship. We make time, so we nurture the relationship. Another role is being a sibling, a sister. Being a sibling to a brother, being a sibling to a younger sister is not only a gift that cannot be equaled by money. It is something that will provide you with a support system in case there will be challenges. Because the family is one of the biggest support systems there is. Okay? Another role is being a friend. Well, they say one of the loneliest kind of life in the world is a life without a friend. And if you don't have too many friends, that's all right. You can have a few real friends, and you can include some women in that circle, because another important role of a woman is to be a friend. And not just a friend in need, but a friend indeed for all times. Another role is being a daughter. If it is exciting to be a mother, it is just as exciting and interesting to be a daughter. I hope that if you are a daughter now and your parents are still alive, you don't find time for them. We make time for them, because being a daughter is not only an obligation, it is a gift that we have to treasure. So those are the role of women outside the school system. It can be in the family, in the clan, in the community. Some of these can be true also in your workplace, like being a friend. But let's tackle now the different roles of women in the academy. These are the multiple roles of a woman educator enumerated by the co-inquirers. 1, facilitator of learning. 2, developer of materials. 3, a colleague. 4, a researcher. 5, extension worker. 6, participant in different social civic activities. 7, a mentor. 8, an innovator. And 9, a leader. I was able to process the data, and I came up with a list. And this list is composed of 9 roles of a woman educator based on the responses of the 23 participants. Facilitator of learning in these difficult times is really challenging. But our teachers are able to reinvent themselves so that they will be able to adapt to the changes and challenges in the flexible learning. The pictures that you see are real pictures provided to me by my co-inquirers, and they have presented to me their consent. They have given me their consent so I can include it in the presentation. So you are going to see some pictures before COVID-19 outbreak, but most of the pictures are during the COVID-19 flexible learning implementation. So they are a facilitator of learning, and it is challenging because I am also one of them. You are also one of them. And we fully understand what it means to be a facilitator of learning in these difficult times. But that is a role that they are taking seriously. There may be some limitations, especially for those a little bit older. Like me, for example, I am not a digital native. When I was studying in college, I did not take up any IT-related course. I have to learn by myself. Ask sometimes, so I will be able to become a better facilitator of learning. And I'm sure you are doing the same thing. And I'm sure you will agree with our participants that one of the roles of women today working in the academe is to become a good facilitator of learning. And today, even if in the click of a mouse, you will be confronted with a great reservoir of information, you just need power supply and internet, and you can gather materials. Yes, you can do that, but you fully understand that in our system, we are required to prepare materials for our learners. Modules, for examples, handouts, videos, presentations, and the like, assessment tools also. We are in an instant developer of materials. Although many have been trained to develop materials, but not all may not have that competency level to produce high quality, top-notch materials. But despite the limitations, all these women reported that they all perform this important role this time. Would you believe that even those who are 60 years old and above said that even if they are not very good in using the computer, they are exerting effort. Sometimes they look funny because they tend to ask several questions from their own children, but they are exerting genuine effort to develop materials. And isn't that amazing? They're not complaining about it. They are doing their part. Admittedly, they do have limitations. In fact, there are a few who may not be able to adjust. I personally learned about some women educators, including men educators in their 60s, can still work in the academy for 3 years to 5 years, but after one semester of preparing materials and facilitating flexible learning, they decided to retire early. I have also learned personally of teachers who have been overburdened by the work given to them. And so, after a quarter or semester, they have decided to stop working. So there may be those educators who will not be able to accommodate the demands or the challenges brought about by developing materials and delivering these materials to the learners. But among the 23 women I interviewed, they embraced the challenge of being developers of materials. Another role is that of being a colleague. And according to them, it is something that goes beyond positions, academic ranks, culture, age, and discipline. We can be from different backgrounds, from different contexts, with different academic preparations, different academic positions or ranks, but we are colleagues. We belong to a community of practice in our context, and we are willing to listen to what others have to say, and they are willing to listen to us as well. We are willing to extend a hand when necessary, and they too are willing to do the same, because that's the essence of being a colleague. That's one of the roles enumerated by the respondents, by the co-inquirers, composed of 23 women educators. And in today's world, not only in higher and advanced educator, even the teachers in the basic education sector are now being challenged to generate knowledge, to participate in the generation of knowledge through research. That is the 21st century woman educator, a teacher scholar, a teacher researcher. not only a consumer of knowledge, not only a transmitter of knowledge, but rather a creator of knowledge. That's another important role for our women educators today. Still another that is required is to serve the community, to become an extensionist or extension worker. Women educators need not confine themselves in their own academic institutions or schools. They need to serve the community. That is the way to establish the relevance of their program, of their institution. After all, the school does not exist in a vacuum. It is a part and parcel of the community. And so we establish good relationship with the community. And one way to do that is to serve the different sectors in the community. That's another role for a woman educator, to be an extension worker. Still another role is a participant in social civic activities. Well, today, activities that will require physical attendance may be minimal, but before the pandemic, we are actually not just encouraged. At times, we are required to participate in different social civic activities. So we join programs, we join parades, we join activities conducted by student organizations, by community organization, by local government units, by non-government organization, as part of our involvement in the community or in the society at large. So that's being an important, a crucial participant in social civic activities. Sometimes the teacher serves as a coach, a facilitator of an activity, a moderator of an activity, or simply a participant of that activity. Another one that is common among the responses of the 23 co-inquirers is being a mentor. Being a mentor is serving as a more knowledgeable other to another colleague or to a student. So you can be a mentor to a colleague in some aspects, or you can be a mentor to your students. So being a mentor means you are willing to share the knowledge that you have gained through the years. You are willing to share your skills to others, hoping that there will be more who will become more knowledgeable and more competent. And as a mentor, you really do not expect gratitude, but rather you expect the gratitude to be passed on to another when the need arises, when the time comes. If they experience genuine mentoring, they too will be more than willing to mentor other people. So that's another role of women educators, being a mentor. A more knowledgeable author, in the words of Lev Vygotsky. Another role is being an innovator. The women today are not contented of the status quo. If they see a gap, if they see a need, if they think something can still be improved, then they're willing to take the risk, to take the role, and do the work. That is being an innovator, whether it is in our own classroom, in the department, or in the entire school system where you work. You may propose a policy, a program, or a project. You can do it through a research, or you can do it through curricular enhancement. These are examples of innovations which women educators may do. And according to the 23 co-inquirers, this is another significant role of women educators in the 21st century. As you can see, for example, when I proposed the creation of a center in our university, to be precise, the center where I work right now, named as Center for Teaching Excellence, I came up with different policies expected of such center. For example, I proposed a policy on faculty mentoring, faculty research affiliation, or faculty-student collaboration. And I also thought that since publication is one of the key results area for higher education, I proposed editorial policies for our university. And since I saw the need to improve the current template of our syllabus through our center, I decided to propose an enhanced version of the university syllabus template. These are just examples. They are humble contributions that will go a long way, long way, long after I will not be in the office anymore. These policies will actually persist. And this will benefit not only the current educators in our institution, but in the next years to come. Other innovations can be in the form of research, producing printed materials, books which can be copyrighted, or inventions or utility models which can be submitted for patenting. These are other innovations that can help the institution, that can help the community or a sector of the community address certain aspect of life of these sectors towards the improvement of the quality of life. These innovations, which may be meaningless to other people, these will help not only the educators in the academia, but the target beneficiaries in the community. So our co-inquirers asserted that being an innovator is another important role of a woman educator in the 21st century. And last, and definitely not the least, the role that they mentioned is that of being a leader. Being a leader is not only having a position. In fact, I learned from my professors decades back that positional leadership is the lowest form of leadership. What if after your term, after 4 years, or after 8 years, or even more, when you don't have the position anymore, will you still be a good influencer to others? Will your words and actions still command authority? Will people still listen to you the way they listened to you when you had the position? That is being a leader. And that's the more important kind of leadership, not positional leadership, but leadership by example and transformational leadership. According to our women co-inquirers, women educators are leaders in their own rights, in their own classes, in their own departments, in their own community, with or without positions, because they are capable of making changes for the better. They are capable of innovations, and they are willing to speak of areas needing improvement. That makes them a true leader. So there you go, friends. the 9 roles of a woman educator according to our 23 participants co-inquirers. So let's have a recap. Backward: leader, innovator, colleague, researcher, extension worker, participant in social civic activities, a colleague, developer of materials, and a facilitator of learning. Imagine these roles. No wonder it was mentioned earlier that being a woman is being a multitasker. Multitasker is something that a woman today cannot avoid anymore. And therefore, she has to be a good manager of her time. So there you go. Definitions, descriptions, and roles, all presented to us by our women educators. Real talk from real women, helping us understand better what it means to be a woman, an educator. And so it now comes to the synthesis. Let us now synthesize what we have just gathered from the 23 women educators. Being a woman, an educator in the 21st century is making connections beyond race, religion, age, sexuality, and political perspectives. It transcends culture, it transcends faith and religion. It can actually go on despite the differences. So we make such meaningful connections with others. We are capable of doing that. It is both an honor and a challenge to be a woman, to be born a woman, capable of making procreation possible, is truly an honor. And it is a miracle, but it is also a challenge. And that is the reason why institutions, organizations, governments, and schools are doing their best in order to mainstream gender and development and to make policies and practices fully responsive. It means being a source of strength and hope. Before the pandemic, now during the pandemic, a woman is a source of strength and hope. And I'd like to believe even in the post-pandemic period, a woman will continue to be a source of strength and hope. But being a woman is having many different tasks and therefore having a hectic schedule most of the time, if not all the time. But that woman knows when and how to take a rest and find joy even in simple things. So they know when to take a break and enjoy the garden or the flowers, so to speak. That is being a woman. Being a woman means facing varied challenges and expectations from different people, from different agencies, from different regulatory bodies, from the society at large. But that woman knows when and how to seize the moment. Carpe diem, so to speak. If they are tired, they can take a rest and seize the moment. They know exactly how to do that. And this is very interesting. Being a woman means embracing the uniqueness, never, ever the ugliness, because being a woman itself is already being beautiful. With all the flaws and imperfections, bigger waistline, wrinkles, warts, and all. Being a woman in itself is already being beautiful. That is enough. Knowing that a woman is being respected and valued in her own context, at the personal level or at the professional level, being a woman alone in itself is already being beautiful. Interesting, right? And lastly, being a woman is being the world's greatest resource, as they are epitome of resilience, self-acceptance, and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a woman. I am valued. I am empowered. That's the meaning of being a woman educator in the 21st century and beyond. Thank you all for viewing, and thank you for supporting the women and girls in your school, in your workplace, and in your life. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rebecca Rosario Bercasio, for that very information-filled discussion, sharing with us your mini research on the topic about what it means to be a woman and educator, giving us interesting definitions of what a woman is, sharing with us the qualities of a woman in the 21st century, and discussing on the multiple roles of women and the multiple roles as women educator. So some of the highlights, actually there are a lot of highlights that I cannot capture them all, but just to share with you some of the highlights of Dr. Bercasio's talk. She said that as a woman, we should continue to develop our growth mindset and understand the power of yet. Just being enough is enough. So that was very interesting. We also have, as women, we have to make time, always make time for our families. And being the woman in itself is being beautiful. That is one, another interesting idea in her talk. So at this juncture, we'll be awarding the certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker. It reads, Republic of the Philippines, Camarines Norte State College, Daet Camarines Norte awards the Certificate of Commendation to Dr. Rebecca Rosario O. Bercasio in grateful recognition of her distinguished and invaluable service rendered as resource speaker during the webinar forum titled Empowering Women Amid COVID-19 Pandemic, an international webinar forum held on March 29, 2021, thereby contributing immeasurably to the prestige and success of the event, given this 29th day of March 2021 via Zoom platform. Signed, Dr. Seflina Socorro F. Tondo, Officer in Charge CNSC, Vice President for Research and Extension. So at this juncture, we will be listening to our panel of reactors. Do we have any reactions coming from the panel of reactors? Let me check on Actually, these are all positive comments, Madam. Let me read some of the comments. Very inspiring, Dr. Bercasio. Thank you. Cheers to all the 21st century women educators. Congratulations, Dr. Bercasio. Thank you and God bless. Thank you, Dr. Bercasio, for uplifting our spirit. So, nothing but positive comments. Do we have reaction from our panel of reactors? Actually, Madam, our panel of reactors are our deans and directors. I just don't know if they are ready with their reactions. They may be thinking that it is at the end of all of the speakers. So do we have reactions from our panel of reactors? What? Ma'am Jo, our VP, ma'am, do you have something to say po, ma'am?
Ma'am
Just
Grace,
to thank
yeah.
Dr. Bercasio for accepting our invitation. We are deeply grateful po, ma'am. We met you when we went on benchmarking and we have learned a lot from you. And we hope to continue our collaboration with you in the future po. Maraming salamat po. From the deepest part of our hearts. Salamat po.
All right, I think our deans have questions also. Baka nagulat lang sila. All right, anybody from our beloved deans and
Ma'am
directors?
Grace,
Yes
Ma'am
po,
Grace,
ma'am?
please
Yes?
recognize Dr. Yaj. He is raising his hand.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Dr. Annalyn. So may I recognize Engineer Yaj, the Dean of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, sir.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Grace. And of course, thank you to our speaker, Dr. Bercasio from the Bicol University. So the presentation was very inspiring and talagang nakaka-uplift ng spirit, probably not just among women, but also even with other educators attending this international webinar. I agree with what Dr. Bercasio said, that this difficult time has really prompted organizations, academic organizations, specifically its leaders and administrators, to introduce management innovations that are responsive to the challenges of the current situations. For example, because of the transfer of learning and teaching into the online and virtual spaces, there was a need to develop monitoring tools, for example, which needs to be accomplished on a regular basis. So while we recognize the importance of this type of management innovations, sometimes academics or sometimes our educators, not necessarily women, are not taking these things lightly. Sometimes they look at it as a burden and hence they sometimes antagonize it and don't take it as it is. For some, it has brought stress. However, I think this is really part of, when a policy is new, when a strategy is new, there are really teething problems, as they call it. There are really birth problems. Now, my question is, coming from Bicol University, may we inquire on how Bicol University ensure the welfare of its employees, specifically women, during this difficult time? How do you ensure that the welfare, that the overall welfare, the overall well-being of your employees are kept intact during this difficult time? Because I think this is also a very good venue for us to share the best practices, specifically from Bicol University.
Thank you very much, sir, for the reaction and the question. In Bicol University, just like your institution, we actually make sure that we follow the protocol. In fact, there was a time that in our office, the director of the Extension Management Division became COVID positive. So the entire office, the entire building was on a lockdown for 15 days. And then we make sure that we follow the safety protocol in all the campuses, aside from the gate, including the offices. So that's one way of ensuring the safety of everyone, not only the women. because if we would like to protect the women, we have to protect everyone, because women and girls interact with people of other gender. So protecting women means protecting everyone. I am proud to say that the university is really serious in making sure that we adhere to the protocols as recommended by the government. Number two, there have been issuances from the top management about the exercise of leniency. In other words, we do not sacrifice quality, but we allow leniency. If we allow leniency on the part of the students, somehow we are also providing some sort of a break for the teachers in the development of materials, in the facilitation of learning. So that is also giving them the needed break or rest to recuperate, to recover, to rejuvenate, to gather strength once again. In fact, this week is considered as the academic break in the university. Generally, it is said that the academic break is for the students. But since we will not be meeting our students this week, we are providing also some break to the teachers. And providing break to the teachers is good for their welfare. It is good for their health, physically speaking, but it is also good for their socio-emotional well-being. Another aspect in order to make sure that the welfare of the women educators, as well as the others of other gender, are protected and promoted, we make sure that these teachers undergo the training so that if they believe they are not yet competent in the development of materials and in the development of assessment tools and in facilitating teaching learning process in virtual spaces, the university conducted university-wide trainings and workshops. And the dialogue happens, academic dialogue happens in every department. We make sure that we listen to the feedback of the teachers, and we make sure that these feedback are considered to be inputs for possible policy review and improvement. In fact, ongoing right now in the university is the assessment of the implementation of flexible learning, and we are looking at all aspects. The purpose is not simply to gather data so that there is something that we can submit for quality assurance activities or for the Commission on Higher Education if such report will be needed. We are actually doing assessment of the implementation of flexible learning in order to find out the strengths and the weaknesses so that we will be able to improve further in the coming terms. In fact, in this undertaking, we have invited your institution to be our partner. And I understand that it will be happening very soon. So those are a few efforts initiated proactively by the institution. I must say that there are still other things that can be done, like having a digital library that can be accessed by our students, like, providing more social assistance to students who may not be able to afford having load or internet in their own homes, and many others. But for now, these initiatives are helping the different sectors of the university, and these are proactively done by our university. I'm sure that you in your university have also good practices that you may be willing to share with us and to share with other academic institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Engineer Yaj, do you have a follow-up question, sir?
Thank you very much, Dr. Bercasio. That was a very comprehensive response. And I really learned a lot from you, especially when you said that we need to be lenient and we need to be more flexible, not just to our students, but also to our faculty members. Thank you again. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I really appreciate the title of the presentation, Real Talk from Real Women. I think this is the kind of conversation, this is the kind of discourse that we as academics should be involving ourselves with, because I believe breaking culture and traditions breaking old beliefs about women in this patriarchal society that we have is something that cannot be done overnight. So I think a discourse like this is something that we should really be doing sustainably. So thank you very much, ma'am, for that very nice idea of real talk from real women. It was very relatable. It was very engaging, and we could really learn a lot from your presentation. Maraming salamat po mula dito sa College of Agriculture and Natural Resources.
All right. So actually, ma'am, I am asking one of the deans if she has question. The answer is, I cannot think of any question because the discussion is very substantial already. So wala na daw po siyang maisip. So with that, again, we would like to thank you.
Grace, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Bacunio is raising her hand.
All right. So may I recognize Dr. Bacunio?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bercasio, and thank you very much for your very insightful and very substantial presentation. I've learned a lot from what you've discussed about women to be just not a positional leader, but a transformational leader, and that a woman and an educator is both an honor and a challenge, and it also means being a source of strength and hope. All of these things, are really happening, and it's true to, in our case as women, part ng administrative council. But I'd like to hear, or maybe if there's something else that you will share, because as part of the academic or administrative council, I'd like to hear from your point of view so far, what has been the biggest challenge among the women educators now that we are amid the COVID-19 pandemic? You may want to share something out of your research that you have presented earlier, or something that you have firsthand experience from your university, Dr. Bercasio.
Thank you, Madam, for the reaction and the interesting question. I'd like to derive the response from the responses of my co-inquirers who are having children going to school also, and from my own experience as a mother with children going to school also. One of the biggest challenges is for a full-time working woman educator is to still serve as a teacher partner when she goes home. It is not only physically training, it is also mentally training. We women educators may be handling the subjects that we have right now for quite some time already, but the development of materials takes time. It's not something that you can prepare in a few minutes only. So you have to invest not only talent, but also time and skills, because you have to make use of the available software. But when we go home, we still have to do our part as a teacher partner. At the start of the school year, the big problem was the modules provided for my daughter, for example, and for the children of some of my co-inquirers are too much to be completed given the time frame. I'm sure DepEd or the private school concerned did not mean anything evil out of that. Perhaps they too are in the learning process. Everyone is in the adjustment period. So literally, I can only work as a teacher partner, helping my daughter to learn and respond to the tests with printed version and online version after I finish my work. Because I cannot give up my work because it is the source of my sustenance, of the family's sustenance. So I am a mother working as a teacher partner at home with a couple of subjects, but at the same time, I'm also a worker and I am reporting to work every day, even if we are allowed to have some work from home situation. I decided I'm going to work to office every day because I don't have a frontline office staff. The office cannot be empty. So since I belong to a very small office, I have to make sure that every day, all the time, there is at least one person in the office. Such is my personal case. And I consider that as the biggest challenge because in most instances, it was physically impossible. So what did I do? I did not complain to the school, but I gave the school feedback. One good thing about the school, they provided a space for the parents' feedback. And the better part of it, the school considered the feedback of parents. So in the succeeding quarters, we did not have that much coverage anymore for the different modules. In the case of some of the colleagues that I know, since they don't have helpers to help them in the work of a teacher partner at home with the modules of the children, say grade 1 or kinder or grade 2 or 3, they cannot yet learn independently. There should be a teacher partner working with them. They can have the work from home arrangement. So they can work from home, do some of their office work at home, or do their classes while they are at home. And on the side, they're going their work as their daughters or children's or son's teacher partner. It's challenging. Physically, it is draining, but that's the way it is. And I think in the next quarter and in the next school year, this will still continue. But we are happy that the schools are also listening to the feedback of the parents. As a woman educator with children going to school and having modules, that has been my greatest challenge. And I saw that same experience with some other colleagues with even younger children. If you are listening to me right now, and you are in the same situation, you fully understand what I mean. But if you are not in the same situation, perhaps your children are already high school or college, well, you are in a better situation. But even if your children are already in college, it doesn't mean that you will not anymore fulfill your role as a teacher partner. I hope that answers your question, madam.
Very much. Thank you, Dr. Bercasio. And I'd like to respond quickly. Yes, I can relate to the perspective or the point of view that you are in right now because somehow I have yung meron ding anak na merong hindi pa naka-experience ng face-to-face pero merong learning materials. And so thank you again. So with that one question, you have again given us so much insights. And I'd like that idea of teacher partner that you have mentioned, and that sounds interesting, and probably a similar venue where the College of Arts and Sciences of the Camarines Norte State College can invite you and discuss to us further topics related to what you have mentioned. Again, thank you very much, po.
All right. Thank you very much, Dean Melanie Pacunyo of the College of Arts and Sciences. So thank you again. Thank you very much to our first plenary speaker, Dr. Rebecca Rosario Bercasio, for that very engaging sharing of actual experiences of women as educators. Again, from Camarines Norte State College, thank you very much, ma'am, Dr. Rebecca Rosario Bercasio, and cheers to the 21st century women out there.